So in the last Bible study we did, we looked at John chapter 4. But now we'll be looking at John chapter 5. Let's go to John chapter 5 and see what is happening in John chapter 5. Here is my Bible. I will advise you while we do this video Bible study, you have a Bible next to you so we can study along. Now I'm going to read John chapter 5 verse 1. And I read, "Sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. 2. Now there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. 3. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. 5. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. 6. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, 'Do you want to get well?' 7. Sir, the invalid replied, 'I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me.' 8. Then Jesus said to him, 'Get up, pick up your mat and walk.' 9. At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. The day on which this took place was a Sabbath. 10. And so the Jewish leader said to the man who had been healed, 'It is the Sabbath. The law forbids you to carry your mat.'" Now I want to say something here. This man, for 38 years, had been paralyzed, had been invalid. Then, all this 38 years, all this while, he had been struggling to get into the pool of Bethesda each time the pool stirs. But he's not able to, because for 38 years, someone else, when the pool stirs, goes in before him. So there he was, hanging on to hope and faith. Now Jesus Christ arrives, and Jesus Christ asked him, "Do you want to get well?" And he said yes. He didn't even know how he was going to get well, but he knew that he was going to get well. He had faith in Jesus Christ. He did not know if Jesus Christ was going to lift him into the pool or if anything else was going to happen. But what? He had faith. And Jesus said to him, "Pick up your mat and walk." Then something that a lot of people don't see in this particular verse and in this particular chapter 5. The response of the Jewish leaders. A man who has been paralyzed and crippled for 38 years, invalid. And then somehow, this man has been healed. And he picked up his mat and he walked. And then you tell him that today is the Sabbath day. You have no right to pick up your mat and walk. What level of wickedness is that? That is why Jesus called the Jewish leaders, "You broods of vipers." He called them wicked men. What sort of wickedness is this? Have you ever seen a wickedness as such? A man who had been invalid for 38 years. I'm very, very sure that him being there had caused a lot of problem for the Jewish people. When you have a paralyzed man sitting at a particular spot every single day for 38 years, it has become a problem, a national problem, a community problem. And yet finally this man has been healed. Instead of praising God for this man, instead of asking questions like, "Wow, this is wonderful. How did you get this miracle? How did you get this healing? Finally, you've been out of your paralysis. Thank God. Thank God for everything." All they could say is, "This is the Sabbath day. You're not supposed to pick up your mat and walk." They did not even notice that he had been healed. They did not even acknowledge his joy of healing. They said, "Today is the Sabbath day. Why should you pick up your mat and walk?" If that is not wickedness, tell me, what is it? It is pure wickedness. These people chose to be wicked instead of what? Praising God for this man's testimony and healing.